like, I liked footballers, but also I think it was.
Otherwise, we get some noisy things like.
Ellie, when it comes to you as an artist, how important is your background, where you come from and where you've been grown up?
I think it's really important for my stuff because I grew up in the countryside, and I wasn't really attached to any kind of. Didn't grow up around a certain kind of music or a certain kind of scene. I think it was more like I would have to find things, and so I think it is really important. And I think I grew up with an appreciation in my kind of latter years of folk music, because I felt like I could really associate with what people would sing about, I suppose. Well, not associate, but I could really appreciate it. Like there are some bands that sing about just things like farmers and fields and country stuff. And I would enjoy it, and I guess that's because I grew up in the countryside in the middle of nowhere, and I think it was nice because like I said, there was no kind of specific group or scene that I was involved in. It was just that it was finding music myself, which I did, and I found a lot of amazing bands through people. And it was when I moved to the city that I suddenly got introduced to a whole new kind of music.
Yeah, actually, for the fact that you weren't introduced, it sounds totally modern and up to date, so that's very astonishing, I think. So how did you find your sound?
How do I find
yeah.
Or how did I find it? Well, I made a lot of acoustic songs, so they were just songs that I'd written on guitar, and they didn't have any kind of production or anything on them. And then I met an electronic producer from London who kind of just breathed something into it came alive, one of my songs. It was called Wish I Stayed, and it suddenly turned into something that I really enjoyed and really liked listening to. And so it kind of started there, really. And then I realised that I wanted all my songs to sound like that, and I wanted them to have something different about them. I don't really know why. It was like an instinctive thing, like an intuition just telling me to carry on with that journey.
Good that you did. So I think it turned out really well. How much pressure did you get by ending up on the BBC list, and also got the New Choice? What is it? The Critics Award at the which award?
It was kind of weird, but I really should be less chilled out, because I was just like, oh, cool, you know. But I'm really honoured about it, but it never changed anything I didn't feel like it changed anything for me, other than there was like slight more expectation for me. But I think without them, I think there was always going to be anyway, because I've always had people kind of supporting me and waiting for my album for a long time, long before a label got involved or polls and awards and stuff. So I think there was always going to be an expectation on me anyway.
Yeah, you get lots of attention from the internet before your album was released, actually, or is released. Do you like it when you find that strangers remixed your songs without asking?
I love it. I love people remixing. I like hearing my songs completely translated into something different. So when I first heard like the Jack Wobb remix of Starry-Eyed, which is like a sort of really heavy dub kind of version, I really loved it, and that kind of everyone else did as well. Like people really embraced it, and so yeah, I really enjoy hearing remixes. It's really bizarre to hear your song put into a completely different context. I really like that. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. and it got other people's attention who might be not.
Yeah. I think by the definitely the dubstep remixes have given me a whole kind of new audience, which is good, obviously.
I read that you during your concerts you also play the drums and guitar, and you seem to be aware to manage everything. You record your songs on your own.
Well, I mean I recorded the songs with Starsmith, so we kind of recorded them together. But then the live set I decided to take up drumming just because I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it would just add something to the set, which it kind of does. I like being able to swap between guitar and drums, and I hope one day as well that I'll be playing keys at some point. But who knows, it might be a bit too much, but yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
And as long as you have friends like Frank Music or so who can play the keys.
I haven't seen him for such a long time.
It's a shame really, because I was introduced to his album and it didn't manage to get well here in Germany, so he kind of got lost here, which is a shame. But there's another band you know quite well, as I read, that's Marina and the Diamonds. How would you describe your friendship with her?
We at the moment we don't get to see each other that much. We saw each other at an awards ceremony last night, but I think we can relate to each other in the sense that occasionally we'll text each other really late, just being like, you know, talking about the day and how bizarre it's been. But I think that it's just good to have someone who is in your position, literally, like kind of in your position.
Why is it more strange for a girl to be in that business, or why?
No, I think that just we're kind of alone with lots of men, and you know, my whole band are guys, and I don't have any, apart from like at the actual label, I don't have girls around me on tour, so it can be difficult because as much as I'm, you know, like I'm what's the word? Trying to think of a good word to describe myself. As much as I am nice, I am also, if I don't like something, I'll say. But obviously, like when you're around guys, you sort of become the I don't know, the kind of joke. But it's fine. It's funny, you know. But yeah, I guess it's just someone who's releasing her album at kind of the same time as me. She released it a few days back, and I released my single, and I released my album next week. So she just knows what it's like to be where I am, I think.
All right. How will you? I mean, you're now thrown into this pop world. How will you avoid the stress you will get in, because you have to do lots of interviews and concerts and everything? Did you choose anything like drugs, alcohol, men, depression, something you want to take from that, or how to survive this circus?
I found it hard before around before Christmas. I think that not just the music, but I felt like I wasn't paying enough attention to my body. I felt like it was like telling me that I was a bit stressed out, and I was doing so much, and I wasn't really giving myself a chance to slow down, like for my body to catch up with it. So I ended up getting really panicky and anxious, and could barely sort of go out of the house. It was that, you know, it was quite extreme. But I'm fine now. It's just that I needed a chance, and I did. I took Christmas off, as I needed a chance just to recuperate and just catch up with myself a little bit. But yeah, I don't drink that much at all, and I don't do drugs, and I feel like I feel like that would just make things worse, really. Excuse me. Yeah, very occasionally I drink, but not very often.
But I read that you have kind of a drug. You run a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Why do you need that to be balanced, or why do you do?
I just really like running. I just really enjoy it and find it. it just makes me feel good. And I feel like every time I go for a run, I'm just like, things are just dropping off me. So it's a kind of a release in a way. But I just really enjoy running and really enjoy exercising and keeping fit. Being fit, really.
Today, more than ever, the look is very important if you want to become famous in this pop circus, I guess. Did you ever think about that? Because you're slipping into kind of a role model situation. Did you ever think about that you have to take care of young girls who look up to you? Because, you know, you have to look good, be slim, blah, blah, blah. So.
Well, I think girls, in that case, I'm a perfect role model for girls because I'm not too skinny because I train, and therefore it's impossible for me to be skinny because I have muscle. So I don't look like a stick. And I could never be a stick because I care too much about my body to strive to be really thin. So I just strive to look fit and to be fit. So I'm a good role model. And also girls do write to me a lot, and my songs seem to have an effect on girls in that it seems to help a lot of people. So the way that I dress is I don't feel like it's that important to me, really, in all honesty. As much as I appreciate fashion, I appreciate people like Lady Gaga who just have an incredible, like, impeccable taste in being outrageous. I love that, but it's not very me. At least not for the moment. I feel like I'm just finding my feet with that side of things. But I'm so engrossed in music that the way I looked just didn't really bother me that much. But I think I'm sensible. I think I'm a good role model for girls.
Seems like it, yeah. You just said that a lot of girls write to you. I'm much older than you are, and when I was young, stars didn't need websites or Twitter or Facebook or anything. You look like you're on every base, like Facebook and stuff. So do you really like to communicate with people? Do you need it? Isn't it?
I used to, before Christmas, before I got a bit ill, I did a lot. But I like the smell. I like the smell. It's burning something.
It's foil, but it's fine.
But yeah, I used to really care, and I used to write a lot about my life, but it was always really trivial stuff, like telling people where I'd just been for a run, or I think my last tweet was that I felt like my cutlery in my house was going missing all the time. So they were quite trivial, but I don't do them much anymore because I just feel like it's a weird kind of parallel between like the stuff that you write about and the way you present yourself as an artist on your album, and like the things that you hold back and the things that you don't, and then all of a sudden you're projecting your personal life as well, and it's kind of it's like a contradiction, and I feel like it's quite strange. But I like to communicate with people because it's important, and the reason I have Facebook for kind of close friends, for staying in touch with people, but Twitter I just like to entertain people every so often, so I write something stupid. But I think it's important to keep a good balance of mystery, and because like you said, it never used to be like that. And now it is, and you kind of have to adapt, and every artist has to adapt to the way the internet is, and the fact that social networking sites seem to be the most relevant thing at the moment for an artist. It's really strange. So you shouldn't turn your back to it because it's pointless, but you should be aware of not to say too much about yourself, I think.
Actually, I started and set up my MySpace site years ago, and then I got to Facebook, and suddenly I felt like these people who are my friends just tell me nonsense, like, oh, I'm not in the mood for working today, or they just write the word sofa in the evening. And I thought that's pointless. That's useless.
I've got a few like gems on Facebook where they just write something really funny, and I always like it. But I've often there's people who have added me, who keep trying to add me, because I've changed my name and stuff, but people still find me. I don't know how. but it's kind of pointless to put something. I think it's good to, if you're going to write something, you should write something interesting.
Yeah, isn't your song Guns N' Roses about someone who sits on his computer all the time? I just read about it and then I heard to the song, couldn't get the story really. Can you tell me about it? What's it about?
It's about, I met a guy once who was always on his computer, and we just emailed like every single day, constantly through the day, but never met. But he wasn't very good at communicating his feelings very well, and I got so frustrated with it that I wrote that song, because I said that I wanted to feel it all for him, so I could almost like take in his feelings, so I could, I don't know, it's quite a weird thing, but it's quite a strange concept, but just being able to take what he felt and reenact it in some way, because he couldn't do it himself. He didn't know how to express things.
Couldn't he do it because he was on his computer all day? Or
no, it's just that he had this like condition where he just couldn't feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a condition that where you can be physical with someone, but you can't be emotional.
Okay. 2 more minutes. Okay. You've joked about that you want to take over world domination once, and no, not true.
Joke. It was a joke.
Yeah, I got it as a joke.
Yeah.
But if you would have the chance, what would you really wanted to change about the world? Is there something?
Wow. That's too many things to want to change. There's so much I'd love to change about the world.
Tell me something.
Well, there's the typical answer, like beauty queen answer of world peace, but I think it's a cliche for a reason, because that would be good if there was no more war. In terms of my music, I'd like to think that my music will last for a long time, and that people will take from it what I've intended, which is to send out messages and to give hope to people, and to girls especially. Not that I'm just writing for girls, but because I have a lot of male fans as well. But I'd like to think that if I got to the point where I could travel the world with my music, I love the idea of just touring and being able to play live all over the world, because playing live is the funnest thing ever. So if I could do that, it would be good. But there's a lot I want to change the world in a non-musical sense. But at the moment I'm so engrossed in just what I'm doing with music that it's kind of good to be a little bit ignorant to what's going on, really, because there's so much that can get you down, that it's kind of nice not to be able to think about it and just play music, really.